Good afternoon. I'm Jessica Cartalia. Here are some of the stories WJZ is working on this afternoon.
Hey everyone, Rick Ritter here with WJZ. We are back on the Corrine Gaines civil trial today. It's important to note this was a civil trial that was only expected to last 2 weeks. We are now in week 3 here, but we are winding down. The defense is expected to wrap up their case today. We could get the closing arguments by this afternoon, and the jury could possibly start to deliberate by the end of today, maybe even more likely tomorrow. Just to quickly rehash, back in 2016, Gaines, the 23-year-old mother, she was shot and killed in her Randallstown apartment by Baltimore County Police after a 6-hour standoff with her 5-year-old son Cody, who was with her at the time. Now, she actually live streamed some of this incident on Facebook Live, and just yesterday, for the very first time, we heard from Officer Royce Ruby Jr., the Baltimore County police officer who fired the fatal shot that killed Corrine Gaines. Of course, Gaines was armed with a shotgun, and Ruby had said, "I felt very scared at that time. I thought I was in danger." He said, quote, "If I didn't fire that fatal shot, officers would have died. I had no choice." It was very emotional testimony, and everybody has been wondering if Ruby would take the stand, and he did so in his own defense yesterday. Again, the defense is expected to wrap up its case today, and the jury could begin to deliberate by the end of today, but like I said a little bit earlier, maybe tomorrow is more realistic. We're going to have a lot more on this story coming up on WJZ at 5 and 6 o'clock tonight.
I'm Mike Helgren at the federal courthouse, where jury deliberations in the Gun Trace Task Force trial will resume in just a few minutes. Jurors last deliberated on Thursday for roughly 4 to 5 hours after hearing the final closing arguments. During that initial deliberation period, they had several questions. We don't know what those questions were at this point, but they're going to continue hashing out the details of this case. Very complicated charges. As we've told you before, it took about 2 hours for the judge to read off those jury instructions. We're talking about RICO or racketeering conspiracy, separate RICO charge, Hobbs Act violation, and the commission of a violent crime with a firearm. So 4 charges to discuss regarding each officer, Daniel Hersl and Marcus Taylor. We'll keep you updated from the courthouse.
Good afternoon, everyone. Jonathan McCall here with WJZ. We are at the State House in Annapolis, where in just a few moments, Maryland Governor Larry Hogan is expected to issue a very special proclamation honoring the 200-year anniversary on the birth of Frederick Douglass, here in front of a number of people, media, a number of dignitaries, including members of Frederick Douglass's family, who are also here to witness this special moment. We'll be here throughout the afternoon talking with the governor, as well as talking with members of the Douglass family about this important moment for them, Frederick Douglass's impact on Maryland history, and more. That story coming up later today on WJZ News.
I'm Alex Dimitrick. Federal funding to restore the Chesapeake Bay is back on the chopping block. President Trump wants a 90% cut in the $73 million project. Today on WJZ and WJZ.com, Trump's plan was beaten back once before. Can it be stopped this time?
Hello, I'm Mike Hsu at the U.S. Coast Guard Yard in South Baltimore, where these 2 former U.S. Coast Guard cutters are being transferred to the Costa Rican Coast Guard today. They did not have a Coast Guard to speak of, so these will be the 2 most capable ships that they have, and they're expected to get 2 more smaller ones also from the United States Coast Guard, as well as a surplus King Air aircraft, all for the purposes of interdicting the illegal flow of different sorts of weapons, humans, and drugs. The director of their security services told me that they've been experiencing a tsunami of illegal drugs coming through Costa Rica, and because of that, the United States had these, which were in the process of being decommissioned. They came here to Baltimore, underwent multi-million dollars worth of refurbishment and training for about 50 members of their crew so they could do the job. And he said that last year they interdicted about $400 million worth of cocaine. And once they get these boats in place, up and running, that he expects to double that number for next year. So what is happening right now underneath that tent is the ambassador from the United States to Costa Rica, and the Costa Rican ambassador to the United States are there along with the top brass for the United States Coast Guard as they are going through a ceremony that you may be able to hear there to raise the flag and transfer officially these ships to the Costa Rican Coast Guard. I'm Mike Hsu reporting. Thanks for joining me.
Much more on these stories coming up on WJZ at 4, 5, and 6.